ISB Show International Week has returned. UEFA World Cup qualifiers. You know how we do on the ISB Show. Sahil Rahi. We talk about which match you all should be watching wherever you're watching from the UEFA World Cup qualifiers. So Rahi, interesting match today. We're going to go with something maybe people may not have thought at first, but this is the match. It is Greece versus Denmark. Now, a lot to talk about on this front. Why are we talking about this match, Rahi? Why are we talking about this match?
Because you have, if I'm not mistaken, I think you chose this match because you have this incredibly exciting young Greek team that is coming off dispatching Scotland in the Nations League. That incredible game where all three of the youngsters scored. This insanely young, exciting Greek team against the experience. And yes, some young players as well. We could talk about some Danish young players, but there's a nice mix, I think, of experience and youth. It's an interesting game. And also they're competing for this group. Scotland's in it as well.
Scotland's in it as well. Let's start there. Let's show the group. So this is what we're looking at. This is the first set of matches, which are happening right now in September for this group, which is exciting, and it's all to play for in that particular group. So you're absolutely right, Rahi. Let's start off with Hellas, the Greece national team. And that is where we start off here. The players, of course, it's been a youth charge. Karetsas, Konstantelias, Solis. And then, of course, some of the more experienced players you have, like Pavlidis. And so that is why we had, Tsimikas, yes, from Liverpool. So, Rahi, this is why we talk about, we've put up more other videos on Greece that we said, is this the golden generation of Greece? And look at the last couple of results. Smashing Slovakia, right? That was in a friendly there. We talked about the victory against Scotland beforehand. Another friendly victory that they just came off of. So this team is on fire.
On fire. And that victory, I want to talk about that victory against Scotland because what was so impressive and so interesting was guess who scored the goals? Exactly the three players you're talking about. Karetsas, Konstantelias, and Solis were the guys that got on the score sheet. They're the future of this Greek team. And this has to be the most exciting moment to be a Greek fan since the days of that incredible 2004 European Championship winning team. I've never been so excited about Greece and about their prospects. These are really young players. And the way they're winning, they're scoring boatloads of goals now, which is not normally the Greek style.
Not the Greek way. And that's the exciting thing about these players. You know, of course, players like Karetsas attracting, interest from clubs like Arsenal.
Yeah,
and stuff
Arsenal
like
is
that,
interested.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is a team that is poised to take this tournament, if they get there, by surprise. I won't say surprise, but they still need to get through. Right?
Yeah, and that's the question, right? Is this is the moment of truth in many ways? Is this a false dawn? These young players that looked so good and have looked so good over the past few games, are they ready? This is tough. This is no longer the Nations League. This is no longer friendlies. This is World Cup qualifying, right? This is to get into the big dance. And we shall see. The pressure's on. It's not an easy group at all.
And that's what makes this matchup so exciting because you have the Danes. Yeah. And this is another team that's in top form, right? They had a good Nations League. People forget, very close to beating Portugal in the Nations League. They had a good victory at home against Portugal as well in the Nations League and came up just short in the opposing match in Portugal. So this is a squad that balances, some of the names we know about, right? Which is, of course, the Højbjerg, the Kasper Schmeichels. You have some of the other major names, but it mixes some of the young players, right? There's a player that's come up now who might be taking over from Christian Eriksen, not into the squad, not into this particular squad. So you have a player like Jensen, you have a player like Højlund, you have some players who need to prove themselves as well from the youth.
Yeah, all over. If you're a Premier League fan, you're watching the Premier League, all you're seeing all over the place are Danish players, and they're solidly taking over games and playing a big part for big clubs. Let's talk about some of these guys. Dorgu looks to be a real menace. a real key part of a Manchester United team that Amorim is trying to rebuild. He looks like a key player for them. Let's talk about Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly! Does that sound like a Danish name to you?
Does
Not to me, but somehow he's Danish and he's playing for Denmark and he's doing big things in the Premier League as well. Of course, scoring a goal, unfortunately, in a losing effort. But this is what's happening all across the Premier League, right? Players, and we, of course, Fulham's Joachim Anderson. So there are players everywhere, and these are solid players. So it's not quite the young stars that are on the rise the way that Greece has. I didn't even mention Damsgaard, of course. So there's so many solid Danish players. They're playing all over the Premier League and all over big leagues. It's a really experienced squad. And in many ways, it's a very underrated team. Think about, as you said, they've gotten big results. They've beaten big teams.
Yeah.
This is a team that constantly qualifies for the World Cup, constantly makes it to big tournaments, has won big tournaments in the past. So as excited as you might be about this Greek team, don't sleep on how solid this Danish team is.
Yes, and the reason this all matters is things need to get started early for both of these teams because Scotland is not going to be an easy out. You know, we can say, for I know there may be some Belarusian fans out there, but we can say that Belarus is going to be the team that probably won't pose a lot of threats to these teams, and I can say that because that's the nature of the situation. But Scotland is not in that same boat because they're going to want to make up for what happened in the Nations League. In addition, they got the two Napoli boys who are starting to, make some noise in the Serie A.
Forget about starting to make some noise. Scott McTominay is the reigning Serie A player of the year. Started off this season with a bang as well. He's not just starting off. He's established himself in Italy as one of, and I'm going to say this out loud, as one of the best midfielders in the world. This guy is on fire, and he's playing with Italian flair, with European skill. It's an incredible growth that McTominay has had. We know how good he could be. He's always been a player with serious potential, but boy, has he realized it.
Yeah. And then, of course, you got Billy Gilmore, and then you have a handful of other players out there, right, that the Scotland team has that is going to be a tough out for both of these teams to play against. So that's why the match in focus, is of course the Greece-Denmark match. Denmark will have to play Scotland first, though. So let's go back, Rahi, to the match we're talking about, which of course is Greece-Denmark. And now comes the moment where we have to make a decision and break down this match in terms of who will win.
It's a very tricky game because the Greeks are exciting. They're fun. They counterattack to perfection in many ways against Scotland in the game in that impressive 3-0 victory. But the Danes are a solid team. They don't concede a lot. They defend well. They have solid players throughout. The question is going to be, is it too soon for Greece? Has this moment come too early for these young players? For some of these teenagers, right? Is this the right moment, or are we going to have to wait till they get a little bit older, till they do transfer to the big clubs, they get the big moves? And my sense is this game maybe comes a bit early for the Greeks. And my sense is that Denmark is still the superior team. We shall see.
Yeah.
But perhaps a close victory for Denmark. 2-1.
Oh, wow. Close victory for Denmark is your pick. I'll tell you what. There's two things that are making me pick what I'm going to say in a second. And the one thing is that I believe that Denmark made a mistake by leaving out Christian Eriksen. I know he's not getting playing time. I know he doesn't have a club right now. But I think this midfield is a little bit underexposed without that player and without his presence on the squad. And the second thing that I'm going to say is this match is in Athens, and that crowd is going to be rocking at that stadium that they always play at.
It's a very difficult place to play.
It is
We've
very
seen
difficult.
what it's done to big teams over there as to a team. We talked about Greece. We forgot about Greece coming to England and doing what they did at this same Greek team. But I will say this. I disagree with you on Eriksen. I think that Eriksen's an incredible player, incredible leader for this team. But I do think actually at times in the recent past, he's played too long, in the sense that I think the emotional feeling around Eriksson has meant he's gotten called up when he shouldn't have gotten called up. I think he's been done for some time. So I think this is the right move and the right time to move on. It'll be a big victory for Denmark if they can get it on the road in Athens.
Yes.
That would really cement them, I think, as a contender in the World Cup.
Yes, but you didn't let me finish because I am picking Greece. I think Greece is going to win this match. I think the youth and that midfield and the winger in terms of Solis going against this Danish squad, which will probably have Jensen in the midfield or someone that isn't as experienced in that playing for Denmark. And I think Greece is going to take the victory, I will say. So we shall see who is correct. Everyone out there, let us know your thoughts about this particular match. Do you think it's going to be Greece? Do you think it's going to be Denmark? We shall see. And
don't forget about Kasper Schmeichel. I think he make a big difference in this game as well.
Okay, we shall see. We shall see. But Greece has not got a bad goalie of their own. So everyone out there, keep watching the beautiful game. We'll see you soon.